We're back. Fitness Profit Multiplier here. Jimmy and Anthony here to talk about something that we've waffled back and forth on in our businesses here and there. And it's really how to pay your staff. And not only how to pay your staff for your mental clarity, but also to maximize your profits and maximize your business. Get the most out of that team, right? And help them continue to work hard for you, as opposed to some situations that we've been in that haven't been the best for us. So we're going to walk you through our pitfalls, what we would do now, and what we do and what we're doing moving forward. So, Anthony, how are you this morning, man?
Good, man. We flip-flopped it on you guys today. We let Big Jimmy with his golden locks of hair do the intro today. And I got to say, man, if you were calling me, I would have probably hung up on you. That tone was, pretty low, man. You got to wake up. Got to get these people up on this podcast. They need to be awake today because we're talking about an exciting thing, profit. Who doesn't love profit, man? Who doesn't love profit? And profit comes from, like we've mentioned so many times, not only from clients in, but what you're doing on the backside of your business and pulling those certain levers to really, really maximize what you're doing and bringing that bacon home, so to say. So yeah, I'm excited to get into pay because no one talks about this. No one talks about pay scale. No one talks about what you should be paying, how to pay. So we've kind of done both, I would say, what we're going to talk about. And like you said, there were a lot of pitfalls on some things. There were some positive, but I don't want to spoil it. So let's just get right into it. So what are we talking about, right? So how do you pay your employees and your upper management teams and your salespeople and so on and so forth? And the best way is hourly, 100% hourly, and incentivized bonuses are probably the best because you're going to get the most productivity out of them. I'm still currently doing, and we have done salaried employees before. And there's a lot more cons to that than positives. I think the only positive with a salary employee is you kind of know what your payroll is going to be all the time. That's like the one little thing where you can be like, okay, well, I can estimate my payroll. I know what it's going to be. But aside from that, an hourly employee, I believe, is definitely way more incentivized. You're going to get way more out of them. And again, I don't want to spoil this too much, but yeah, that's just my take, and that's where we're at currently.
And that's really what we're going to talk about, are the difference between those two things, how we experience them in our own businesses. And in my defense, Anthony, you guys are 3 hours ahead. So I sound a little tired, but it's because I am. This is how I start my day on, for our podcast. I start my day with your ugly mug and, just getting out of bed. So that's how it goes. But
are you drinking another beer again? For those of you who watch this on YouTube, he's got another beer. Didn't blow it out today.
Oh, there you go. Didn't blur that time. I guess we're sponsored by Monster now. So when we talk about employees and we talk about different structures that work for us in the past and not work for us, in the beginning, Anthony and I thought, well, salary is more simple, right?
Well, I wouldn't say thought, man. We were also taught.
That's true.
Thought and taught.
Yeah, thought and taught that, salary is more simple, keeps your payroll more even, and every month what's going on.
And also, I'm gonna add to that too. People think that when you put them on payroll, it's like, it's benefiting the staff. The staff is gonna love it. They're gonna stay with you more because they're salary. They're a real employee now if they're on salary. That was what we were kind of taught.
But when it comes down to it, there's some, we'll talk about the benefits first. I think there's a lot more pitfalls. If you want to go to a salaried position, I think that it may make sense for somebody managing your facility, maybe, right? And then they have structure on top of that. As long as your facility is busy enough and they're actually getting all the tasks done that they need to get done, it could benefit that role. But other than that role, it's hard to say, right? But the benefits are, it can keep payroll cleaner, right? It can give you a more predictable payroll, so you're not up and down a little bit. But in all reality, the ups and downs are very minimal when you're paying hourly anyway. So neither here nor there. And salary positions, that's really, from our position, the only benefit is like it keeps payroll more even, but it doesn't do any of the things that you're taught or that you're told in the personal training industry. Because every other job in the personal training industry is hourly, based upon how many clients you have, volume of sales, all these different things, and you're working this crazy split shift all the time, which is not how we work our staff typically, right? So they're already getting a benefit there from working a set shift, having consistent hours, that kind of thing, right? Now, that begs the question, unless Anthony had something to add, I'm going to kind of move forward from that position.
Yeah, the one thing that I'm going to say too is that it is a little bit easier for us as the owner or whoever's doing payroll, because it's like, okay, salary. So if you're paying every 2 weeks, it's 80 hours. It's you know, you don't got to do much. Just plug it in and that's it. You don't have to think about it. So it's almost like you kind of take something off your plate by doing that. You don't have to worry about bonusing or anything like that. So it makes it a little bit easier. But it's not as profitable as what we're going to talk about now.
No. And not only from a perspective of the amount of hours that you're paying for, but from the perspective of the amount of hours that your staff is actually committed to working on what they need to work on, right? So it's profitable on both sides. Salary kind of lets people slack off a little bit.
I agree.
But when we look at the process and we look at what you're doing with this salary, hourly, the whole structure, hourly is what we're leaning towards landing on, right? All of my staff is hourly right now. We've had some issues in the past with salaried employees, right? So we were told, we were taught, get them on salary, they'll feel more like an employee. If you have good employees, you have good employees. It doesn't matter if they're hourly or salary or whatever. They don't care as long as you pay them fairly, right? Now, one of the things that I want to mention before I forget, some guys in the industry will tell you that you should pay your staff hourly and pay them different rates for different tasks. I would say that that is absolutely wrong. Do not do that. It's very complicated. I never did it. I ran away from that idea like the plague when I heard it, because you're going to pay somebody $15 an hour for admin work, and then you're going to pay them $25 an hour for training work, and they have to track their work, all their hours differently. Like, why not just flatline the hourly rate and give them a position to fill, right? Makes it way simpler. They don't get dinged for doing admin work and not for doing training. You may motivate them to get more training clients or whatever, but a lot of times you're performing all the marketing activity. So they're not as in control of the marketing that comes through. And then you have a sales associate that's selling people. So your individual trainer doesn't have a lot of influence over their schedule in terms of the clients coming in. You give them to them, right? So you're like penalizing them for adding more value to the business by getting things done that need to get done. So don't do, if you're like, go hourly is our crux of the statement, but do not do that BS where you're charging them, you're billing them $15. Okay, we're going to go $15 for admin, $25 for training. Very complicated and is not good for morale for your staff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I never did that. It just doesn't make sense to me. Again, you want your staff to always be incentivized to do something, whether it is admin work or it's marketing or it's some sales stuff. They always have to be an incentive for them to do it. So think about it from an employee standpoint. Okay, I get paid more when I'm doing training. Why do I care about this admin work that I'm just doing? It's just filling hours. I'd rather take more training. So it doesn't incentivize them. Remember, the goal of an employee is to help you facilitate the growth of your organization. So every employee I bring on at AB Fitness is designed to help improve AB Fitness as a whole, not one specific area. So if I'm incentivizing them to do, okay, you're going to get paid more for doing this versus this, they're not going to give a shit about that other test. They're going to care more about the thing that's going to put more in their pocket. And when we say incentivize people, we mean get them more productive with what they're doing. So if they're getting paid the same amount, then they're like, okay. And they know the why behind things. All right, so you're doing some payroll, I don't know, some back end work, some admin stuff, or maybe you're helping me with marketing, right? You realize that, okay, by helping Anthony with marketing, I'm helping to grow the business, and you're more part of the structure as a whole that way, as opposed to separating it. So I agree with you 100%. I actually forgot about that we were given that kind of advice, and that advice is, again, terrible. Do not do that.
Absolute BS.
Yeah, that is. No, that's a big no-no, especially if you want incentivized good employees, no bueno. And again, it doesn't even make sense because it's like, they probably don't even want to do that work to begin with.
Right. And then they're getting paid less, and then it's like demoralizing at the same time. And it's like, just pay them the same rate and give them raises according to their performance over time, and make that rate an aggregate of the type of tasks they're going to do. So if it's $25 for personal training sessions and it's $15 for admin, pay them $20. Start them there, and have a pay scale, which brings me to my next point. So have a scale of pay, right? When you hire a new staff member, you don't know how well they're going to do at their position. You don't know what you're getting. So you want a scale for a certain position, right? So you have a scale, where we are in Washington State, right? We are somewhere between, the minimum wage is relatively high out here. We're somewhere between $20 and $27.50 per hour, right? Experience, education, and retention all affect how this person goes up, and as they take on more responsibilities, as they go up through that range. But typically people start at the bottom of the range, right? So having a range for your job ads and having a range for your employees to be able to work within incentivizes them to continue to push forward, right? Briefly mentioning that. Yeah.
I thought you were going to continue. You just abruptly stopped. I thought you had something else to say.
I had to drink my beer.
That's what it is. You had to take a sip, man, to get some energy flowing. So yeah, I mean, one of the other things that I like too, and what we're going to probably talk about, I'm probably going to jump ahead a little bit here, but hourly is probably the best way to go. Find your scale range. And the good thing is, and I've said this on other episodes before, but you make the rules at your facility, whatever those rules are. So one of the things that I like to do is, and again, you have to find this structure because everybody's business is a little bit different, but you have to incentivize the staff in the role that they're in for something. So for example, let's say I have a salesperson and the salesperson makes an hourly rate, and now I want to incentivize them to sell more. Okay, so I give them a bonus or a sales commission off things that they're doing. Hey, if you hit X amount of sales this month, you'll get X. And it's all equated for them growing the unit as a whole, the whole business as a whole. So that's one of the other things you need to, I personally love, because I like to pay people and incentivize them to help to escalate this. Whereas if you just give it, I'll go with a salesperson here, for example, but if you just give a salesperson a set rate, it doesn't matter if they close the sale or not. It doesn't matter if they make 100 calls or make 0. It doesn't matter if they close, X amount or not. They're still getting paid. So it doesn't matter. But if you incentivize them and you say, hey, every time, so for example, we have 3 tiers of our membership, and our salespeople make a certain percentage off each one. So if they sell the biggest package, they're making more. So they're incentivized to sell the bigger package and push the bigger package, which again, helps the unit grow as a whole. So that's just a good example of incentivizing pay, which I love to do because again, it helps to grow everything together. One of the other things that I absolutely hate, and I'm going to kind of circle back to that, and we were kind of taught this too, is that if you're running a small group facility, that what you should do is you should give your trainers kind of like a bonus for people that they have in the session. So if they have more full sessions, you should be paying them a little bit more for those full sessions. And I think that that's the total wrong way to do that. Again, it's very hard to track. Sometimes people come in certain times because it's convenient for them. So that the trainer really did nothing to facilitate that. If Mrs. Jones is a morning person and has to come in at 6 a.m., the trainer didn't do anything to incentivize that. The person's in there. But maybe instead of looking at it like that, maybe giving your trainers a retention bonus. and say, hey, look, Becky, you're in charge of these 20 clients. If you could retain all these 20 clients, I'll give you X. You get X for retaining all these clients for this month. And then you could change it and whatever. But I love paying incentivized bonuses. I think that that's the best way to go because, again, I think it helps your staff grow the whole unit together. And I think that that's the key with being more profitable because, again, I don't mind paying more to the staff when they're hitting new milestones or they're doing things. Like I said, giving trainers a certain block of clients to keep track of. If they retained all their clients, they're going to get a bonus for that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I totally forgot about that. That was something that happened at a facility that I worked at back in the day. The whole, if you have more people in your session, you get paid more kind of thing. And initially the guy was paying us decent hourly rates, like the way that kind of we have it set up now. And then at some point his business wasn't doing as well. So he changed the rates over, cut our pay in half per hour and said, you have to, for every person you add to this session, it was like large group. So every person over 7 people, you'll get another $1.50 an hour for that session. And I'm just like, this is like some convoluted BS. Like as an employee, that was one of the worst things that person could have done. So don't do that incentivizing stuff. I know that Orange Theory does something similar to that, where they're like, oh, the session, but they have sessions of like 35 people or 39 people or whatever. And their marketing is handled through corporate. So it's like, it's a different beast. This podcast is talking to single owner, a couple locations, maybe, guys that want to get to that $1 million run rate on their own and put 20K in their pocket every month, right? Those are the guys that we're talking to. So when you think about it, we're telling you these things because these are pitfalls that we've seen other people do or we've done ourselves. And we want to make sure that you're not falling into those traps as well, right? The big issue with a salaried employee is what I refer to as wage stealing, basically, right? So when we look at a salaried employee, they're getting paid whether they're doing the task that you're asking them to do or not. And if you have a good employee or a great employee, it doesn't matter if they're on salary or hourly. But if you have an okay employee and they're salaried, they're going to then take advantage of that. A B player is going to take advantage of the fact that they're on salary and work less for you because there's not a structure to the things that they need to do. It's harder to keep them accountable to it. There's just not as much of this notion of control over what they're doing because it's not a direct correlation between like, oh, I work this hour, I get this pay, right? It's like, I work this job, I get this amount. And then they're not as efficient. They kind of dawdle around. I mean, I had a couple of employees that were on salary because I thought that was what made them feel like it was a real job, even though there's plenty of jobs out there that are hourly that are real jobs. And we're just convinced in our head that personal training isn't a real job, right? From the beginning. Then we go open our own gym and we're like, oh, well, this is an actual business. Okay. But we look at those factors and we go, there are plenty of real jobs that are hourly. Okay. And when people are B players, they're going to spend portions of their day screwing around and calling their boyfriend and spend extra time on the things that they like and not do the things that you need them to do because they get paid on a salary either way. And it's not like you can take hours away from them at any point, right? You can't be like, okay, we're going to take 15 hours off of Jenny's plate because she's underperforming and we're going to give them to Timmy. You can't do it because they're on salary. And we are a service-based industry. The only appropriate time for somebody to be on salary, in my opinion, is a manager of an entire facility, right? Everyone else should be hourly because if they're not, there's some horror stories that we have. I walked in on one of my employees while she was supposed to be doing admin work that she said was taking her a very, very long time to do. I walked in on her FaceTiming with her boyfriend because I came into the gym early that day, when she kept telling me that she needed more time to complete admin work because she never wanted to do it because she was salaried.
I mean, listen, that happens on both sides of it, right? Like you're going to
It
get that
does.
even with hourly. So, to some extent, I understand what the point that you're getting at, but on the other side of it, to play devil's advocate, that could happen regardless. So,
It could happen for
but
hourly
it's just,
too.
but it's just easier when it happens on salary because there's that you don't have to worry about it. Like you said, you can't so for example, let's kind of use that same scenario. So now if this person was on hourly and Jimmy came in and she was, naked in the room, FaceTiming her boyfriend, Jimmy could just say, okay, look, no problem. I'm having an issue with this trainer. I'm just going to deduct some of her hours and take that admin work away from her. And you have that flexibility to do that. Whereas,
and that's the point, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So like when you're on salary, you're kind of stuck. And
Right.
I find myself in that hole so many times where it's like an hourly employee just takes advantage. And I'm not an hourly, I'm sorry, a salaried employee just takes advantage. And, from a business point or from a business owner, I feel like they're stealing, and that feeling is horrible. That feeling of feeling like, okay, someone's actually stealing from me. I did them a favor. And this is kind of like how I feel. And I'm sure a lot of people listening to this, like I did them a favor by putting them on salary, which means they're guaranteed their check no matter what, but they're stealing from me by not producing at that time. So this is why I like hourly so much better because it's defined. Okay, your hours are this to this. That's it. That's it. And that's fixed and that's what it is. And you're doing this at this time and this at this time. And again, you probably could kind of do that during salary, but it's easier for them to slack off. And I think it's a mental shift that they have when they're on salary. Doesn't matter if I come in or not. And like Jimmy said, if you want to give a salary, I think that the salary should be very, very low. And everything else that they get is incentivized bonuses for them to do the tasks. So for example, if that person's at the head facility person, they should be making a fixed rate per week, whatever it is. But every other thing that they need to do in order to grow that facility is incentivized. So there's bonuses if they hit a certain amount of revenue. There's bonuses if they hit a certain amount of sales. There's bonus for this. There's sales bonuses, this, is that. But their hourly rate is low. So this way, even if they don't do it and they're not hitting their bonus, they have to hit their bonus in order to make more. So if they want to make more, they have to hit the bonus. So it just makes it a lot easier. But guys, if you're not having people on salary right now, don't do it. Take it from us. It's just a mental shift that the employee will make. And it's a mental shift that you'll make because you'll be like, okay, well, I'm making this sacrifice because I believe in this person. And if it goes south, you're going to get feelings of resentment and it's really not going to be a good scenario. So guys, hourly with incentivized bonuses for everything is the best way to go about it. Like I said, even with clients and trainers, if you want to incentivize the trainers to retain clients more, you give the trainers buckets of people, and then you just say, hey, look, if you keep all these clients, you get X. And you don't have to make it standard across the board. You could do it per whatever. If I have a morning person and that morning person is doing really well, I say, hey, look, if you keep all these clients and we're having a little problem with this, blah, blah, blah. And you can incentivize it per person. So and you can make it up every month if you want. Like I said, you make your own rules. Hey, if we retain all of our clients this month, or you retain, out of 20 people that I gave you, you retain all 18, I'll give you $100, whatever it is. You can make that up, but it incentivizes the trainer to do something to benefit the unit and the business as a whole. So that's what I'm going to say on that. We're going to end it right here. If you guys are interested in taking your facility to the next level, just click that link below in the description and book your time with us. You can hop on the phone with us and we'll diagnose your issues to help get your gym on track for that $1 million runway and putting more money in your pocket. Anthony and Jimmy, Fitness Profit Multiplier, and we are out. And Jimmy, that's how you do an outro, my friend.